in saying that, for once, he was actually reflecting the scientific consensus, right? But then a couple months later, he completely flipped. The head of this Chinese CDC, George Gao, having said suddenly, everybody's got to wear a mask, right? Everybody in the West has got to wear a mask, as in China. Then Dr. Fauci shifted.
Masks are protective.
If you look at children outside, particularly when they're with the family, walking down the street, playing a game or what have you, don't have to wear a mask.
The Academy of Pediatric actually makes that recommendation that children should be wearing masks from 2 years old onward.
I mean, I think I've got this right. One mask is better than zero masks. Two masks is better than one mask. But you don't have to have double masks. Is that right? I mean...
Then a couple months later, the World Health Organization shifted because they too had said correctly that masks don't do anything against respiratory viruses. But then they flipped.
A dispute over a mask led to a woman being tased by a cop at a middle school game. Of course, no, it should have never come to this. What is your right to refuse, and what is law enforcement's ability to enforce?
You have to have a mask on.
Shoot me, people. He's
No.
going to shoot me for trying not to breathe.
Cool.
Come on, dude. He's up. Ow.
And there is Barack Obama dancing unmasked. He's been talking about the need to get a vaccine and all the other stuff. I don't think he wants to break from the CDC. What's interesting is I haven't heard the CDC commenting about this yet.
Masks are pretty magical, and they don't have much downside.
People with masks, they give up their individuality, they give up rights as free human beings. You become really, it's the beginning of slavery. African-American slaves in America, many of them, they wore masks. I have called the masks to be the symbolic equivalent of the yellow star that I had to wear. It's a sign that you are not free, that you are lesser. All of this is happening only because people obey.
I think masking really was a symbolic signal not only of obedience, but also that we all should maintain constant fear and that we needed to stay away from each other, from relationships and community. During my childhood, there were duck and cover drills.
Duck and cover, just as you do in your school. We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous. You will know when it comes. We hope it never comes, but we must get ready.
We were constantly drilled in school about what would happen when the Russians attacked us with nuclear weapons. That we had to remove sharps from the table. We had to put our head under the desk when we heard the alarm sounding. If you were paranoid, you might feel that the purpose of that drill was to maintain this level of what Bob McNamara later called mass psychosis, where you keep an entire population in fear by constantly reminding them that their lives are under attack. And I think, one of the things that disturbed me about the masking, it was very reminiscent of that.
If one wears a mask, or one stays in a tiny room and fills up the room with virus and continues to rebreathe the virus, there is a real chance that one could make a mild illness more severe. It's called re-inoculation. We had gotten a call from Presbyterian Village saying one of the workers contracted COVID. And this was the characteristic pattern in 2020. Remember, the senior citizens in nursing homes, they weren't going out and getting COVID. They were sitting ducks. They were already locked down. And in fact, a worker gave COVID to my dad. We were hearing stories of patients going in the hospital, being locked down in isolation, never seeing their loved ones again, and then dying in the hospital alone.
We don't get to eat dinner with them. We don't get to sit with holidays for them. Memorial Day, Father's Day, Mother's Day.
When COVID sort of broke out across the world, we started trying to learn as much as we could about the disease. We saw it break out in Wuhan, and then Lombardy in Italy, and then Seattle and New York. I know someone in every ICU in New York City, and it became pretty clear what their main sort of mechanisms of disease were. They were hyperinflamed, and they were clotting to a degree I've never seen before. Nurses were drawing blood, it was clotting in the syringe, and it was clear they needed blood thinners.
When SARS-CoV-2 came to the US, predominantly in New York City, patients were getting really sick. They were being admitted to the ICU. They were put on ventilators. And we know the mortality at that time, if you were ventilated in an ICU in New York, was close to 90%.
I was pointing out that I was seeing unprecedented mortality rates, and we had to do something. But the general conservatism of medicine was that no, because you might harm someone. It's hard to harm someone when they're dying at rates we've never seen them. They were clearly dying of undertreatment. Because of my efforts were being blocked, and it was clear that I was not welcome, I resigned.
What I did with